So I work as a specialist property valuer. A few years ago a real estate agent friend approached me on behalf of his client. His client was a bookseller who operated a specialist bookshop on the 7th floor of a city building. A one-man band small business. Nice bloke. Unfortunately, nice bloke had decided to renew his lease for 5 years and signed the new lease without getting advice. His new building owner enacted the market rent review clause and jacked up his rent by something like 50%. Tells nice bloke, your new rent for the next 5 years is X. Nice bloke is distraught. He can't afford it. So he asks nicely to rescind the lease and he will move elsewhere. Estate agent friend has found a cheaper space for him. Denied by building owner. Building owner says he will also sue if he breaks the lease. So the agent asks me to review the case. I look through the case. Nice bloke is stuffed. The lease is Loctite and they are justified in jacking up the rent. I think our only hope is to appeal to the mercy of the building owner's lawyer. So I call him and ask for a lease, penalty free, for my client. Mr. Lawyer says, stiff cheddar, you need to comply with the law. Try reading the lease. A real arrogant a-hole. Cue malicious compliance. Okay, I will. I read through the lease and note that all references to the Retail Leases Act have been crossed out. Fair enough. The act only applies to retail tenancies if they are below the 3rd floor of a building. Nice bloke is on level 7. Act should not apply. But hold up, am I gonna check that? I call the Small Business Commission who administer the act, and they advise that if you retail a good, like books, it doesn't matter what floor you are on, the act applies. You could be on the friggin' roof if you want. The level 3 provision only applies if you retail a service. This means the building owner has breached the act and failed to comply with the law. There's certain things they have to provide before signing a lease and timing they have to follow. A breach is no small thing. I get a ruling from the commission. I call for mediation with Mr. Lawyer. Present are Mr. Lawyer, building owner and their agent, a nice bloke, and me. I again plead for a penalty-free release. No dice and they threaten to sue. I gently slide the ruling across the table to Mr. Lawyer. Me, okay. Well, as per your suggestion, I read the lease. We have a ruling that proves the act applies to the lease. Your clients failed to comply with the act and committed a statutory offense. Lawyer reads ruling. Okay. We will grant you a penalty-free release. Me, oh, we don't need that. We enact our right under the act to terminate the lease, penalty-free, and to seek damages for the landlord's breach of their statutory obligations, and they'll be reporting the breach to the commission. Lawyer, no need for all that. Let's just tear up the lease. Me, sorry, that wouldn't be complying with the law, would it? My father has been a lawyer here in BC, Canada for more than 30 years. When he was starting out in his 30s, he was hustling hard to support a stay-at-home wife and me, his young son. As he was very much a type of personality with not much patience, he sped on the highways, often. And he got speeding tickets, often. However, he took every single one to court and had every single one overturned. The reason was quite simple. At the time, Canada was in the process of switching over from imperial miles per hour to metric kilometers per hour, and all of the road signs had to be replaced. Now the BC legal code specified that a road sign was legally comprised of 2 signs on a pole. Apparently at some point someone in charge of replacing all the signs with the new metric ones decided that they could save a considerable amount of money by printing all the information on one sign. But this no longer complied with the specifics of the legal code. So he would go back to the exact sign that he was ticketed because of and take a picture of it and then bring the picture to court along with a copy of the laws in question. His defense was very simple. He would allow the arresting officer to take the stand and give his testimony regarding the issue of the ticket, and then show the officer the picture he took and ask them to identify whether that was the sign that he had sped past. They always agreed, saying that it was in fact the very same sign. He thanked them and then dismissed them with no further questions. He would then bring the picture to the judge along with the bookmarked page of the BC Highway Act and present the judge with the exact wording of the law, followed by his factual argument that, since there was only a single sign posted, it did not constitute a legal road sign as defined in the Highway Act. As I said before, every single ticket was dismissed and all my dad lost was a half an hour of his time. This worked for almost a decade, with him overturning literally thousands of dollars of speeding tickets, until the law was changed. He still speeds BTW. I worked as a rescue technician for a safety and rescue company that provides various emergency medical services at construction and hazardous zones. Our scheduling manager was notorious for doing and saying whatever he felt to get empty shifts filled, ironically circumventing a lot of job safety regulations. But on this particular Sunday I was involuntarily volunteered to work. On the way to a job site, I was involved in a car crash that resulted in our truck turning into an accordion and burning to the frame on a major interstate. Gotta love drunk drivers, right? Luckily, my partner and I had relatively minor injuries. Among the trivial scratches and various cuts, I had internal bruising in one thigh and knee bad enough to warrant crutches. After being discharged from the hospital later that day, Bowers was very understanding, asked if I was still able to at least come to the office for light duty instead of claiming wages from workers' comp. Seeing as comp was already paying for medical treatment, a new phone and laptop of my choosing, and I could still drive, I said sure. My job had no light duty. So I basically came to the main office and licked stamps. This continued for about 3 work days. On the 4th day, scheduling manager decided I was ready to go to a refinery and climb around machinery. He bursts into the vestibule I was using as a workspace and tosses a job sheet on my desk. Manager, nobody wants to come in. We are short-handed today, so you need to be at refinery 105 miles away in an hour. You can take truck 23. Me, sorry, manager. I'm still on light duty. Manager, are you serious? How long are you going to milk this out, dude? I need you to do some real work tomorrow. I have too many jobs going on. Me, I'll let you know if anything changes. I'm sure it won't look good to refinery if I show up limping on a crutch when I'm supposed to be dragging people out of crawl spaces. The next morning I wake up to an email with a job assignment. Same refinery, same position. I call Hours and he says he'll take care of it and to come into the office for light duty. Scheduling manager is waiting for me at the door. Scheduling manager, really man? We just talked about this. Let me clue you into something. We don't have light duty here. You need to be put on a job site your next shift, or I'm going to put you on unpaid time off. Your discharge papers didn't say you can't work. Me, our guy told me to take it easy until I feel better. Nobody else is pushing the issue, but have it your way, scheduling manager. At this point I was starting to walk without my crutch in short bursts. I was expecting to try a job site on Monday if the weekend showed more improvement, but after these interactions I felt petty. Scheduling manager was vital and interweaved with the company. He had been there for 16 years or so getting him in trouble wasn't an option. I knew to drive a point home I had to aim for the only thing that mattered, his empty shifts. I went to Hours to apologize for the paperwork he's about to file. I tell him I'm leaving after lunch to make a doctor's apt. Not only was there still deep bruising, but the doctor diagnosed me with sprained adduction and abduction muscles. Estimated return date 3 weeks. I happily composed an email to scheduling manager and attached the note. He replied with a flurry of angry emails which I forwarded to Hours with my original doctor note. Our guy told me I could either stay home and take the comp pay or come to the office daily at my leisure, leaving any time after lunch. He promised that manager wouldn't bother me and I could occupy the spare office in the unused half of the building. I gladly took the latter offer, and for the next 3 weeks I was sitting in my office, playing MMOs on my laptop all morning, going home at 12:30. Never really had an issue after that. In fact, he never contacted me directly after that. All my scheduling was given as a general memo by the secretary. I did leave for another job 2 months later, and to this day I get emails asking me to do contracted jobs for them. Thank you for watching. Slap that like button and comment your opinion on these stories below. I'm waiting. Write that comment. Seriously. Have you written it yet? If you don't comment, you make a bunny cry somewhere. You're not that kind of person, I know. Anyways, peace out, and catch you tomorrow.